to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome. The September 10th meeting of the Jackson Township Council will now come to order. Councilman Borelli.
Here.
Councilman Bernstein.
Here.
Councilman Chisholm.
Here.
Council Vice President Sargent.
Present.
And Council President Kuhn.
Here.
As clerk of the meeting, I hereby publicly announce that in compliance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been advertised in the manner prescribed by law. And this evening we have proclamation.
Yes, we do. What's wrong?
We have a pro-
You okay?
Yes.
That's okay. Take your time. You need a new seat.
My apologies.
No worries.
Council President, there's a U9 Jackson Little League.
Yes.
All-Star proclamation.
Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of opening comments just for the 9U that's here. We're going to leave the comments for the council just to celebrate the boys, and then we'll do our meeting after. We take no disrespect to you guys hightailing it out of here after all the boys get their proclamations. We understand that you're here for a reason. If you want to YouTube us later for township stuff, we're more than happy with that, but otherwise we'll get you in and out as soon as we can. So good evening, everyone. I'd like to take the moment to extend a warm welcome to a very special group of young athletes who have made our community incredibly proud. Tonight, we are honored to have you with us, the 9U All-Stars, who have demonstrated remarkable talent, dedication, and teamwork throughout their baseball season earlier this year. This exceptional performance on the field is a true testament to the hard work they've put in, not only as individuals, but as a team. They've shown us what it means to strive for excellence and represent our community with pride. On behalf of the mayor, who is sorry that he couldn't be here, administration, council, and the entire community, we celebrate your achievement and we look forward to seeing you with even more success in all the future. Congratulations, 9U All-Stars, for an outstanding season. That's not your proclamation, but just congratulations. Does any other council members want to say anything? You want me to just go into the proclamation? You good? Okay. This is your proclamation. Whereas the Jackson 9U Little League All-Star Team has demonstrated exceptional skills, sportsmanship, and dedication throughout the season, culminating in the remarkable victory in all the All-Star tournament for the first time in more than 20 years. And whereas the coaches, families, and the community have provided unwavering encouragement and support, contributing significantly to the team's success. And whereas the 9U All-Star team players include Lucia, Landon, Peter, Gage, Jason, Chris, Ryder, Logan, Danny, Angelo, Ben, and Noah, along with the coaches, Matt, Rich, and Chris. And whereas these players were against some tough competition, but didn't discourage them at all. Instead, this lineup remained strong and dominated the field from the start to finish, pulling together and playing as an unstoppable force with the mind's focus of a championship title. They continuously outscored their opponents, with the majority of the team members scoring runs in each game. And whereas the success of the 9U Little League All-Star team not only brings pride to their immediate community, but also serves as an inspiring example of hard work, dedication, and the joy of the game. Now, therefore, I, Michael Reyna, Mayor of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, along with the Jackson Township Council, do hereby extend my warmest congratulations to the 9U Little League All-Star team and coaches on their outstanding season and their well-deserved victory in the All-Star tournament. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So, if the coaches could come up and assist me with giving out the proclamations to the boys. So can the three coaches come up and I will, you'll help me give out the proclamations? And then after, we'll take a picture with the council? Thank you.
Our own Matt, how are you? Good to see you.
I didn't know you had time for this.
I missed a letter and. So, all right. So first, we have, do you want to do the names and I'll give them out? Because if you're going to do, yeah, there you go.
Luca Calise. Luca. Let me say next to me. Are they in any order or they're all the same? All right. Angelo Salerno. Jackson Fucci. Noah Zink. Ben Wilder. Gage Fisher. Landon Ernst. Danny Olson. Peter Ferrioli. Logan Lombardi. Chris Gawler. Last but certainly not least, Ryder Hobbs.
Sure.
Front line, take a knee. Front line, take a knee so we can see everybody. There we go. There we go, much better.
Much better. Good job.
Angelo, come. Say thank you.
Everyone outside quiet.
That's smart. That's why I like the gazebo. Whenever you get a chance. That you Thank you. Congratulations.
Bye, everyone. Congratulations again.
Bye. Congratulations. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Yes. Repeat.
Yeah, we have 8U in 2 weeks. We have another one. Okay.
Obviously, here. She hasn't been here in a while.
Hi.
Don't embarrass yourself.
Ready? Ready? Good? Yeah. We're going to begin the meeting now. Ms. Kamas?
We'll continue with opening comments from Township Council. Council President Kuhn.
Good evening, everyone. I have an email that I'd like to read from our Supervisor of Department of Public Works, Sean Belinsky, to good friends and past PW employees. Good afternoon. I was hoping, consider to the Seymour family on behalf of the DPW and the town. Sandy Seymour was one of the original DPW employees. He worked for Jackson Township for 43 years, from 1972 to 2015, as a mechanic and a heavy equipment operator. He will be greatly missed. So my condolences to the family as well. Okay, so the next business, I'm going to read into the record. I want to go over, like I do, is traffic. So I'm just going to go over some reports. Officer Lasco is back from his injury, so I have a lot of traffic reports to read, and it is really, it's alarming. So if you could please pay attention, I would appreciate it. And if you have any questions, you're more than happy to email me. So this was for Robbins Estates, coming east from Cooksbridge Road to Manhattan. Total vehicles, now again, this is for a week, from June 20th to June 26th. All right, I believe school is out then. So going eastern bound, one way, 453 cars. Going western, 4,044 cars. Maximum speed, 63 miles an hour. Going from Castle Avenue between July 4th and July 10th, eastern portion of Cooksbridge Road to Manhattan, maximum speed, 51 miles an hour. Total cars, 774. Western, maximum speed, 54 miles. Total vehicles, 1,755. Going Laurelton Avenue between July 20th and July 26th. Going eastern, total vehicles, 693. Maximum speed, 43 miles an hour. Western, total vehicles, 755. Maximum speed, 45 miles an hour. Georgian Boulevard, total vehicles between August 6th and August 12th. There's no school, there's no sports. Total vehicles, 2,937 vehicles. Maximum speed, 60 miles an hour. Going western, total vehicles, 8,166. Maximum speed, 70 miles an hour. Again, Georgian Boulevard. Next, Goldweber. This is between August 26th, September 1st, right before your children go to school. Total vehicles, start school, 1,864 vehicles, maximum speed, 51 miles an hour. Western, total vehicles, 1,462. Maximum speed, 72 miles an hour in Robbins Estates, okay? Again, we want to go into Murfield Road. Total vehicles, this is between June 13th and June 20th. Total vehicles, eastern bound, 2,363 vehicles, maximum speed, 56 miles an hour. We want to get into Manhattan Street, okay? Everybody knows where Manhattan Street, Holman Elementary School, right? Total vehicles in 1 week between February 9th, 2024, and February 15th, 2024, 39,626 vehicles in 1 week, okay? That's Manhattan Street. So I just want to follow that up with a little thing, and we're talking about traffic a lot. So that's just one neighborhood. We need to look at this neighborhood. We really need to help this neighborhood. I understand, the residents, my brother lived in this neighborhood. I've talked about a lot. He lived on Georgian. 40,000, it's actually more on Manhattan. It's actually 40,020. There's a couple other, cars that I didn't include just because the report was updated to me and sent a different way. But I think that this is something that we all need to be cautious of and aware of, and really all put in a valid effort to try to help the parking issues that we have, the driving, the speeding, 72 miles an hour. Come on. I'm sorry, you can make a mistake and I could see maybe going to 45 and being like, oh, I think it's 35 miles an hour. I'm sure Director Candino can let me know that, but that there's no excuse for that. There's kids in these neighborhoods. There's a lot of kids, and we need to keep them safe. And this is something that I'm obviously very passionate about. You're going to see that from the meeting this tonight. There's 3 ordinances for some hefty fines for driving and traffic, and I totally stand 210% behind them. And I will hope that my council will, again, with hearing what I just read, everybody should be behind the traffic and the issues that we're having. And being to your neighbors, that again is going to be something that we're doing in the ordinance. That's just so that everybody's aware of what a county road is. We have 42 county roads in Jackson Township, 42. Okay, so all of these, just so that everybody is awareness, we're doing education, we're getting around and we're talking about it. You can live on any road you want. When you're going through a neighborhood going 72 miles an hour, that is unacceptable behavior. I'm sorry. So that's all I have until the rest. But thank you very much. Be safe.
Thank you. Council Vice President Sargent.
Good evening. In all my years coming to these council meetings, I've never seen a group of kids run up to the front to get their award. And I thought it was really nice to see the athletes run up forward. That was pretty cool. Ms. Kuhn, I just have a couple questions regarding your comments. Officer Lasco, when he was out, did he have a replacement?
He did not. We were on a standstill, but once he came back, he was out for 8 weeks. And as soon as he came back, he, went through all the reports and progressed them for me. And that's why they're all in one email.
And so with those reports, were there any tickets given out?
No, that I'm aware of. There has been no tickets on the ordinance that are going to be in front of you tonight. The tickets that I've heard that have been written were for Title 39, which is when you got your driver's license, you learn Title 39. So that is a minimal ticket. It's a standard ticket, and that's something. I can say, though, with the business administrator here, after hearing these reports and seeing this and being in many conversations with the business administrator, he did approve 4 Class 1 officers, which do not carry guns. They pretty much are like in Asbury and stuff like that, where you have parking, meter readers and ticket writers and stuff like that, if the director Candido can find them, which if anybody would like to be a Class 1, we are hiring. The mayor had also approved 6 Class 2s, which we are looking for. So if anybody is looking to be a Class 2, but we really want to keep the traffic safety going. And with these 4 officers, they would be able to be boots on the ground, and they could do education. And obviously, if you keep getting a warning, they're going to ticket you. But we really want education, and they do not have guns, so they literally are just going to be in neighborhoods and saying, "Hey, listen, you're parked in front of the stop sign, past the stop sign by 5 feet. FYI, you're not allowed to be parked in front of a stop sign."
Thank you, Ms. Kuhn. And thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Councilman Borelli.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. I second what Council Vice President Sargent said. It was pretty cool to see the kids come up here to run up for their proclamations. Wish I had that much energy. Also, congratulations to them, the Jackson Little League champs, and hope they keep up the great work, and I'm sure they will, and their parents and coaches too, and continue making our town proud and Jackson the Mecca of sports legends. I want to reiterate, and I mentioned this at the last council meeting, but just to remind people, and I want to thank the Jackson Day Planning Committee for getting this together, and I'm sure it's going to be a great event. Our annual Jackson Day will be held in Johnson Park this Sunday, September 15th from 12 to 7 p.m. Looks like we're going to have beautiful weather for it, so I guess we won't need that rain date of September 22nd, but it's there just in case, but I don't think we will from what I'm seeing. And at this year's Jackson Day, again, there will be food trucks, entertainment, kids rides, many vendors, so many other exciting attractions, and yes, one-of-a-kind drone show. Also, if you want to be a vendor or sponsor, there's still time. Please let the Jackson Recreation Department know ASAP by calling their staff this week at 732-928-1200 at extension 1255 if you're interested, or reach out to our Township's Recreation Director, Anthony Horta, at ahorta@jackson.twpnj, all one word, .net. I hope to see you all there at Jackson Day. Let's make it another great one, Jackson. And also, I'm very glad to be a part of supporting some of the ordinances for first reading. We heard Council President speak about a lot of the traffic and speeding problems. And these are preventative measures that are on tonight's agenda, these ordinances addressing quality of life in our town. So I'm happy to be a part of that. And last but certainly not least, tomorrow is the 23rd anniversary of the events of September 11th, 2001. Let's never forget the sense of security we lost in that tragic day and the incredible patriotism that came from it. We'll always remember the people who perished on that horrific day on the 4 hijacked planes and in the buildings, the workers, visitors, and incredibly brave firefighters and police officers and others who ran into the buildings to save people, all of them heroes. We honor their memories today, and always we honor the memories of our service men and women who have died since then to keep America safe and secure from another terrorist attack. And please keep your thoughts and prayers with the people who are still affected and impacted by the events of September 11, 2001. Very important. Let's support leaders whose policies will keep America safe and secure from another 9/11 from happening. Good seeing you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Councilman Bernstein?
So really, everyone said everything that needs to be said. I just want to point out again, thank you to our business administrator and the entire Jackson Day committee for all the planning. In particular, I want to take a moment and thank a resident who serves on the committee, Ray Katona, who really has been a force that you can't compare other people to. He just doesn't stop and volunteering his time for the town. So we very much appreciate it. And we continue to urge all residents to step up and to continue to volunteer. And I also want to take a moment and thank the council president for really putting the time and effort. She probably puts in about 23 hours a day into some of these ordinances to make sure that they're factual, make sure that the results the results of the ordinance will match the goals of the ordinance. And I very much appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Councilman Chisholm?
Hello and good evening. Congratulations to our 9U Jackson Little League All-Star team. It's great. We've had a lot of young kids over the last few years come before this council and previous councils, and we've recognized a lot of them. We have a rich tradition of young youth sports, and it's great to see that continue. Unfortunately, we will not meet again before the 17th, so I would like to remind you that Constitution Day is coming up, and it does not get enough, promotion. It should. It is the single greatest document written by human hands without the help of God, although he probably did actually have his hand in that if you follow divine providence. So teach that to your children, because we are still a nation of laws, contrary to those running our government and how they violate that all the time. Speaking of which, tomorrow is 9/11, as you've already heard, and we all promised that we would never forget. But have we? That's really the question. We need to remember, we need to teach our children. Some of them, hard to believe, were not actually here. They have no recollection of 9/11, where they were, what they were doing, what the weather was like, the fact that there was silence in the skies. There were no planes for days. It was a awe-inspiring and weird feeling for sure. We also need to hold our politicians accountable. Tonight, our vice president, also known as the border czar, her name and her media accomplices, not a Republican title. She, under her watch, has allowed more than 8 to 10 million people that we know of sneak into our country illegally. Many of them are on the terrorist watch list. What have we done about that? We said we would never forget. We have terrorists that are in this country right now, and we know some of them where they are. What are we doing about it? Have we really not forgotten? Something is going to go off, something will happen, and then we'll all shake our heads and look at each other, and it'll be 9/11 all over again, because we refuse to learn from our past. The most radical leftist candidate in all of American history to get a nomination from a major political party is going to ask you for a promotion tonight. She has failed upwards in every single job she's ever had. She has got no accomplishments of any significance in any job she's ever held. And yet she is, without a single vote, what happened to democracy? Where's that? Without a single vote, she was nominated and is now going to be getting, within 60 days, a shot at the highest office in the entire world. In June, she was a drag on Biden, and she was going to be jettisoned from that campaign. Now she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. She says her values haven't changed. Well, that's great, because just in an interview yesterday, she said that she's in support of legalizing crack and fentanyl. Okay? Crack and fentanyl. For possession of that, we're not going to prosecute you. So I'm just kind of curious. In the face of the epidemic of drug overdoses we have seen since 2019, parents, are you okay with that? Are you willing to vote for that individual? I'm not. And that's just one very, I shouldn't call it small, but one small slice of what she absolutely believes. She wants to ban fracking. She wants to not have a wall, but now she wants a wall. When we asked leftist radical Bernie Sanders, hey, is she changing her viewpoint? Is she actually not going to follow through on all these things to save the environment and to put up this border wall? And he said, no, she's being pragmatic. Truth comes out. Bernie, you just can't stop that guy. Just listen to what he says. He admitted the truth. She has to moderate. She has to do what she has to do to be elected. She will lie and cheat and say whatever she wants because that's what she does. That's what most Democrats in the upper echelon do. It is not hyperbole to say that this is the most important election of your lifetime, and elections do have consequences. So you think it doesn't trickle down, it doesn't affect Jackson. Well, I got to tell you, the rule of law does matter. If we don't follow the laws, and they don't follow them in Trenton, they don't follow them in DC. I've had two people over the last couple of years, why don't you make some more ordinances here in Jackson? Why don't you write any? And I said, what's inconsistent with what I believe? Why? Because there's enough rules and laws on the books. Why don't we enforce the ones we have? I can't tell you how many residents in the last 4 years have said, why aren't we enforcing this? Why aren't we enforcing that? Okay, I agree. Why aren't we? It's a good question. I can only give you a couple of answers, and I can't really address them all from here. But I will tell you that I'm not going to just promote a whole bunch of ordinances without having a reason to do it if we're not going to enforce them. I'll give you one little silly one, right? So I've driven around, I don't know, every day, but in the last week alone, I found 25 people with lawns 2 feet high. Do you want to live next to that? We already have an ordinance on the books. Why aren't we enforcing that? Mow the lawn, guys. If you can't mow it yourself, hey, I don't know, ask your neighbor. Call a lawn service. Do something. Nobody wants to live next to that garbage. That is not being neighborly. That is not the kind of community we want, right? I mean, do you want to live next to that? I don't. You want to talk about other Jackson things? Sure. Hey, we had some other cool stuff happen. It's great to see West Vets was recently paved, or at least part of it. There's still a whole bunch on the other side of town that didn't get addressed, and that's just a war zone over there. But why is it with engineers that we pay and budgets that were passed, why are there still manhole covers that are inches low that are going to basically throw somebody's alignment out of whack? It's going to throw somebody into the gutter. It's going to cause an accident. Somebody's going to get run over on a bike, like the poor hockey player, right? I mean, what does it really take to fix that? Don't we have engineers in place? Don't we have people? I mean, we paid for this. Get it fixed. It's not done right. In the private sector, you would be like, hey, man, you have a hole in my driveway that I just paid for. I'm not paying you until you fix it. So I have some other questions, since I only have a few times left to ask. In 2019, a council voted to purchase land. A council approved removal of a building, forming a committee, design of plans. For some reason this year, I know the reason, political patronage, doesn't matter which side it's on, we switched horses in the middle of a race. After several starts and stops, our new engineer promised to have plans, plan is to have stuff, information. We've canceled meeting after meeting. There's been missed deliverables. After yet another meeting was canceled, I got an email that administration has canceled a lot of the plans with no explanation to council or the committee that we passed, that the committee that we are a part of, as a sitting member of that committee and of the council, that ordinance stated we were going to have this committee, we were going to do things. I know we're not canceling some of these plans because of financial constraints, because we have money that I helped to support and get into our open space fund. That money is sitting there in our open space fund to make these parks. It can't be because we're pursuing other land, because I haven't heard anything for months about new land, new opportunities, new purchases. I haven't heard anything. We haven't bought anything new. So I'd just like to see if somebody in administration or on the council can tell me why we are canceling some of the plans, and myself and the committee were not brought in on that, because I know that we did not have any kind of private special meetings, as was laughably brought to the dais here several times, that maybe we violated the sunshine law, and I know that did not happen, right? They're not here tonight. So please, I will just rest, and thank you for your time.
Councilman, I would love to answer your questions in regards to Rova Farms. So, being the chair and the vice chair sitting next to me, when we had the roll call and we obviously changed a couple of the committee members, we had added you as, a courtesy. So the reason why the meeting it was happening and what was going on is because there was stuff that was promises that was never delivered during a campaign that none of us were on. So there was a campaign ran on Rover Farms of all these promises that was going to happen. It was never approved by the administration. And if you have an email that states that different, I would love you for you to send it to me because I have none. I've met with the engineers, the new engineers, and we actually signed a proposal for $48,000 for Rover Farms. And Rover Farms actually will be growing. It has installing walking paths in and around the site as well as along the water where feasible under the authority of the flood hazard area permit, rule number 22, and freshwater wetlands general permits, number 1717A. I've been on the meetings with the DEP. I've been to the meetings. I've hosted the meetings. I'm not going to have a meeting to sit in a room and not have anything to go over. We were waiting for a proposal to went to administration. The administration rapidly approved it. It doesn't happen overnight. So I just want you to get, before there's throwing under the bus, let's get it accurate because I have the paperwork right here. Secondly, we're going to install native vegetation throughout the disturbed portions of the site. You guys ripped the building down. I don't know where that happened or when that happened. It had nothing to do with me, but it was something that actually ruined your project and allowed you to not move forward. And the engineer has said that multiple times. What was it? The amphitheater. You're not putting an amphitheater there. I'm sorry, guys. It's not happening. It's not set for it. There is a horrible road. You have Freehold Road. You have a busy road. You're not getting 133 spaces in there. We looked at it. You have no other space. That's 3/4 of the area. There's no other room to put anything. I understand because I looked at the plans. So it's a matter of knowing what you're looking at. Everybody wants to have a form and everybody drew something beautiful. It was beautiful. It's just not practical. The amphitheater is supposed to go at Johnson Park, as administration has been saying. So the second thing, it's going to be installing of some parking area for visitors to the park, parking areas, walking paths, etc., total less than 10,890 square feet to avoid stormwater improvements. There's certain things that you just can't do on that property. And I'm sorry that it's not resonating with anybody and it's not what you want to hear, but this is the facts. We had an engineer, we have a proposal, we're moving forward. The installation of boat, kayaks, launching, subject to the flood hazard area and permit rule number 18, conditions in freshwater wetlands, general permit 17A and 17. We're going to do this. We want to do this. Councilman Bernstein and myself were on the meeting with the DEP. We stopped our days, we hopped on with the engineers and we were there. So accusations, please stop. Construction of one fixed dock, subject to the flood hazard, again, general permit number 13, freshwater wetlands, permit number 17 and 17A. We are working on this. We are trying to do as much as we can. And yes, actually, as funny as it said, it was going to be a special meeting because I'm not going to be able to attend the 9/26 meeting. So I'm going to let everybody know that on the record. It is my birthday. I will not be there. So I'm going to have a special meeting. And if anybody cannot attend, they can call in, just like we did when we had a special council meeting. But if you want, this is what's going to be said. So I think that you're all informed. Thank you.
Okay, so to clarify, that is actually only partially true because yes, I've also met with the DEP and I've also met with other people because yes, I've actually been dealing with that. And I talked to both engineers and we met on site and from the horse's mouth, our engineers, our new engineers, not to mention the other ones we've thrown under the bus that developed the plan, said we can build the amphitheater, we can build the pavilion, we can build the museum. All of those are currently not on this list. And when it was brought up that maybe we would consider this and go to Johnson Park has not had an amphitheater, and it might be a different style and a different stage. We've discussed that as well. However, Johnson Park was not capped properly because there was no DEP. So we don't have the permits. So are we going to wait another 10 years before we get permission from DEP to build an amphitheater? So we're going to hold this project hostage for the future possible, maybe, hope and dream that we're going to have an amphitheater at Johnson Park. I mean, again, these are all things to be discussed, but none of these facts were brought forward at a meeting. The meeting was canceled. The engineer didn't say anything. President and vice president, chair, co-chair did not reach out to me. Nobody said, hey, we're going to scrap all of these projects that we've been working on for years. The administration, when I've met, and again, I don't want to throw people under the bus, but we did have conversations about this, including all of these very topics. So the topics have changed, and I have not been given a reason as to, no, we're actually scrapping this. So somebody made a decision. It was not informing the rest of the committee or the council member also on the committee. So I'm just looking as to who made the decision and why, because your engineer is telling me different things. We can do these things.
Mr. Wall, would you like to answer Councilman Chisholm's?
I could speak to the amphitheater issue, and the amphitheater item was planned for Johnson Park. So as far as some of the how this has been navigated over the course of a few years, this has taken, I think, too long. I think that's fair. Excuse me. As far as some of the DEP interaction and what you can do and what you can't do, I think there are various opinions on that. Engineers will generally do whatever they're paid and told to do, ultimately, unless it's not consistent with the rules and regulations. You did have a change in professionals. You did have a layout. You did have a change in the folks who were looking at it. I think you had a couple cancellations. I'm not on the committee, but I know you had some changes that went on there. But the one item I'm familiar with that I shared after a meeting here and spoke to you about was regarding the amphitheater issue. It is true, Johnson Park years ago, I don't know which decade, but it wasn't closed appropriately. We've gotten proposals to look at having soil borings and different things of that nature. That's an expensive endeavor. So you have a number of things that spike your costs, unfortunately, based on prior action or inaction years ago. That predates all the folks on the dais. But there are a set of items that are deliverables that are in the newest proposal. When there are meetings, I've encouraged the Morgan Engineering, the fellow Brian or his designee, to be there, like facilitating the meeting when there was a gap in the communications, to meet on site, to meet you, because you were chairing. I believe there's a scheduling issue, and so you chaired a few of the meetings to facilitate those discussions. So I can't speak to what those discussions are. The one item I'm familiar with is the amphitheater structure not being situated at Rova. That's the piece that I'm personally familiar with, and that was designated for Johnson. Whether that is feasible ultimately at that location, may be a fair point, but we need to get it delineated and get that done to do that. So, and ultimately, many of these items, they're elevated to the governing body, which is the dais here, administration partnering with those things, and we'll endeavor to keep on getting it to a conclusion. The wonderful thing is that the community owns a 34-acre property, on the water, and that building was taken down. I will tell you, that building it was a significant safety issue. The folks who are familiar with it know it. It does have a lot of very, very interesting history in that area, but it's exceptionally dangerous. I've been in it. It also had quite a bit of asbestos that had to be abated. And so to the extent that you had a footprint and didn't have a footprint, and how that changed the floor area ratio or some of those other planning items, notwithstanding that, you had tremendous amounts of break-in damage, attractive nuisance, and asbestos that rendered that property one that really needed to be taken down. I would almost say regardless. I understand the floor area ratio issue and that type of land use issue, but that became a historic but very dangerous site that needed to no longer be there. So that did happen. And we can analyze what the professionals, because the professionals guided us the entire way. People can judge their advice, judge the advice that they gave the governing body and the actions that were taken for that, and judge that one way or the other. But from a life safety standpoint, that structure was exceptionally dangerous, and it also had asbestos in it, which had to be abated as well. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's just
No, absolutely. That was 100%. We were all behind that. Everybody agreed at this council and the previous council that needed to go. Went through the bid process. It came down. The engineers told us that our footprint would not be a problem. My concern is really what's happened since August. I mean, it's been bad enough that it's been going on since January, but when I met on site in August, these plans as designed with the buildings, with the thing, would not cost us any more, would not incur any more. There was a timeline, there was a deadline, there were certain permits that were needed. It would have to be done in phases. However, each and every one of those structures and building, not included in this proposal, that was received this week, a month late, and after the meeting that was canceled again, when they told us we'd be ready for that meeting. The reality is, he told me and sat there and said, yeah, we can build this, we can build the museum, we can build the amphitheater. Yes, it's not going to be the same way it was designed on the paperwork. It will not have permanent seats. It'll be a shell. You can bring in your own chairs, lawn chairs, whatever. All of those things were flexible. There was no indication when I met them in August.
What
the
day did
current
you meet
engineer-
him? Because the proposal I got was on August 29th.
Which, you got a new proposal on August 29th?
Correct.
Okay. So that was like the day after the meeting we were supposed to have. It was when we met, actually, it was July, my
So
mistake.
that's why the
And so in
last
July,
meeting was
when we
canceled, because I
met, it
didn't
was
have
going to be
anything.
ready because we canceled the July meeting. It was going to be ready prior to that August meeting.
Yes.
It was not. We canceled the meeting, and then we got the proposal a day or two after that. And it does not include any change in the plans, and all of those structures are not on there. That's the point. So the engineer said that structures could be there, so I want to know where they went. That's
I
it.
think that's a fantastic question for the engineer to articulate an answer to, because he could also speak to the time deficits that you've indicated earlier. Really, I'm not, with that firm, they would need to articulate and defend what their process is and account for that.
So we can have, you can go to the next meeting. I'll miss it. I won't call a special one, and you could attend and take that with Councilman Bernstein.
Whenever it's going to be, that's fine.
I was
just
going to do
want-
an earlier one, but it's up to you. You let me know now, so it's on the record. Would you like me to have an earlier one? And if you're okay, Councilman Bernstein, Councilman Chisholm can come with me?
Absolutely.
Okay, because we can't all be there. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to have it a week earlier. And then if anybody can't come, they can call in, and anybody, residents, if you know of anybody that wants to be there to call in, they can call in or they can come.
Okay.
That's okay?
Works for me.
6 o'clock on Thursday or something like that?
Which Thursday? This Thursday?
I don't know.
Oh,
No, next Thursday.
Last Thursday.
No, I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Okay.
All right, so that's agreed upon too. Good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Motion to approve executive session meeting minutes of August 27th, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Bernstein?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Council Vice President Sargent?
Yes.
And Council President Kuhn.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinances first reading. Council President Kuhn, are there any comments regarding ordinance 28-24?
Yes, thank you so much. I'd like to read, this ordinance amends the points required for the qualification for the program for the calendar year of 2020 only due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which resulted in the township's first aid responders having limited ability to, I'm sorry, sir, can I help you? Sir? Sir, you can't come up to the dais, I'm sorry. I know, sir, but you can't come up to the dais. Thank you, sir. The pandemic resulting in the township's first aid and responders' limited ability to train, conduct meetings, and drills. The required points of 200 shall be 65 points for all of the years. The requirements of 100 points shall remain in full force and effect. This is from 2020.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ordinance 28-24 entitled, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 33-3 of the Township Code to reduce the required number of points for calendar year 2020 to qualify for the length of service awards program due to the COVID-19 pandemic, resulting state of emergency. I need a motion to approve ordinance 28-24 on first reading and to authorize the notice of approval and public hearing to be held on September 24th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bernstein?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Council Vice President Sargent?
Yes.
And Council President Kuhn.
Yes.
Thank you. Council President Kuhn, are there any comments regarding ordinance 29-24?
Yes. So the changes to this ordinance you're going to see in section 4, any person violating this provision would be a fine up to $250 and imprisonment not to exceed 90 days. Second offense would be $500 per day or imprisonment not to exceed 90 days. So you're going to see this consistently throughout all of the ordinances. Just to, if you don't want to pay a fine, don't violate the ordinance and don't park where you're not supposed to. Thank you.
Thank you. Ordinance 29-24 entitled, an ordinance amending ordinance 24-23 of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, thereby amending Chapter 103-45.1 of the Township Code to prohibit parking along a portion of Brewers Bridge Road. I need a motion to approve ordinance 29-24 on first reading and to authorize the notice of approval and public hearing held on September 24th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bernstein?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Council Vice President Sargent?
Yes.
And Council President Kuhn.
Yes.
Thank you. Council President Kuhn, are there any comments regarding ordinance 30-24?
Again, my comments in regards to the section that's been added, Chapter 412-6, is again, for the first fine, it's going to be $250 per day or imprisonment not to exceed 90 days, or both, at the discretion of the court. The second one is going to be $500, again, imprisonment not to exceed 90 days, with both at the discretion of the court. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, and sorry, this one is also in, your vehicle could be towed if it's continued to be there.
Ordinance 30-24, entitled an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending ordinance 07-24 of the Township Code entitled trespassing on public property, violations and penalties, amending and supplementing section 412-6. I need a motion to approve ordinance 30-24 on first reading and to authorize the notice of approval and public hearing to be held on September 24th, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bernstein?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Council Vice President Sargent?
Yes.
And Council President Kuhn.
Yes.
Thank you. Council President Kuhn, are there any comments regarding ordinance 31-24?
Yes, for clarity and to residents so that you know if you live off of a county road, if this is applicable to you, the county roads are up on the screen. There's 42 of them. So if you see a road that goes into your neighborhood that's on there that you're adjacent to your road, then this ordinance would be applicable to you. It's been introduced multiple times. The change that we are adding now is again in section 2. It is the same, or section 3, I apologize, the things I've been reading. For the first offense, it's a $250 per day fine, along with 90 days, up to 90 days imprisonment. Second one is $500. And again, the third is going to be, they will be able to tow away your car. This is a parking permit. We've already gotten multiple emails this morning. I think, Christian, it went live this morning, and thank you, Christian, you're the best. So that email up there, trafficsafety@jacksontownshipnewjersey.net. I just want to say thank you to everybody that was in the room that collaborated to get this email up and running, which is the business administrator, Director Candido, Sergeant Hemba, Captain Nelson, Councilman Bernstein, myself. And then after we left that meeting, and this is something that came of it, I talked about at the last council meeting. So if you have any traffic concerns, you can email trafficsafety@Jackson Township, New Jersey, and it's going to go out to our Traffic Safety Bureau, and it's going to be dispatched, and they're going to go ahead and be able to see it. You can always continue to send them to me, and I'll forward them there, but now you have a direct contact. So therefore, instead of calling them and getting a voicemail that I've heard sometimes could be full, this allows it to go out to many avenues, which will allow your concerns to be met through our traffic safety. And then again, what happens with the traffic safety, if they start hearing a lot of complaints about an area, they come to the council and we meet as the liaison to the police, and we try to get things done. I just also wanted to just read something that I got before I came to the council meeting from my 11-year-old niece that just turned 11. She has a cell phone. So she was on the bus. So obviously I've talked many times about the passion of this is because I was at the bus stops last year and I watched all the things that were just not safe for children. So my niece sent me, Peyton, I heard you talking to Mom about parking. My bus couldn't get through the neighborhood today and had to take a different way home because the way people were parking. I just wanted to let you know. This is a 10-year-old, 11-year-old child that also recognizes the problems in her neighborhood, that she's reaching out to her aunt, and there's a picture of her in her book bag on her bus with the cars lined up all over in the neighborhoods. We're just trying to grow together, and we're just trying to be courteous of our neighbors, love your neighbors. You know, you can't park in front of stop signs. Allow the buses to come through. She couldn't get home because her bus couldn't get through her neighborhood. So this is something we don't want any of these children to feel. I get calls from moms on Point Circle, which I told them, I said, I'm going to call LSTA. I'm going to ask them again. They need to get those kids off of off South New Prospect. The neighborhood's a circular neighborhood. You can go in. The buses go in there anyway. Just pick the kids up at the neighborhood and down a little bit, because there's no parking when that neighborhood was developed. There's no parking anywhere. No stopping, no standing, no parking for 200 feet. So we are hearing the concerns, we're addressing it, and I just wanted to read that to you. So maybe put a little bit of emotion that we have up here when we're creating these ordinances, and we are thinking about the residents and the children of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Ordinance 31-24 entitled an ordinance amending ordinance 16-24 of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to delete permit parking on any county roadway. I need a motion to approve ordinance 31-24 on first reading and to authorize the notice of approval and public hearing to be held on September 24, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bernstein?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Council Vice President Sargent?
Yes.
And Council President Kuhn.
Yes.
Thank you. We move on to bills and claims. I need a motion to approve or hold.
Motion?
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Have to abstain on vendor number RUT 14, STA 01, and STA 76. Yes to the rest on there.
Thank you. Councilman Bernstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Chisholm?
Abstain on RUT 14, yes to the rest.
Thank you. Council Vice President Sargent?
Yes.
Thank you. And Council President Kuhn?
Abstain from RCS 02, yes to the rest.
Thank you. We move on to the consent agenda for this evening. Council President?
Yes. So we are adding, so with Jackson Day and all of the wonderful things that we're doing, we forgot to put the resolution to allow Jackson Day to continue. So the Jackson Day Committee apologizes, but we had to do a resolution to allow our vendor, our Jackson PBA to, they have a garden tent. So we had to get that on. All of their proper permits were obtained. They sent, the PBA president sent me a copy of it, and we're going to add that. It's Resolution 314-24. My deepest apologies for not getting it on the agenda. It just got sent to me today. It was an honest mistake that we missed, but we all want Jackson Day to move forward. Can you just maybe give everybody a brief on what's happening at Jackson Day, just so that we have it?
Sure. So this is not your typical Jackson Day. This is Jackson Day, capital letters. And Jackson Day is really unique. It's a time to celebrate a community that has a tremendous history. And if folks that have lived here and grew up here know, they goes way back. European settlers arrived in 1700s. There was cranberry bogs, forestry. The town was formed in 1844 after President Andrew Jackson, rural farming community. You have the Pine Barrens and history of railroads and growth back in the 19th century. And so now you have a rural and a suburban area. You have features such as Six Flags and so many different things going on. Jackson Day is about celebrating a fantastic community. And you've had this over the years, so folks maybe remember Jackson Day, but I just wanted to briefly identify a few of the different things. And I want to echo the concern of the comments of the council earlier this evening about Jackson Day. And I do want to thank the Jackson Day Committee, and also in very much in particular, the volunteers and fire and police and first aid and public works. It takes a huge team of folks, especially the day of, to make sure it's a wonderful, fantastic event. And here are some of the items that are really worth noting that you may not have heard of Jackson Days in the past. So some of the items here, and the list has been changing a little bit, so I'll try to capture most of the items as I understand them. Of course, we have the opening. It's around 12 o'clock. Jackson Memorial Band will be here. First band at 1 o'clock. There will be signups for the cornhole tournaments that will be going on. That should be great. A Boy Scout run, hot air balloon photos. Then there will be a cornhole tournament around 2 o'clock. There will be a stunt show. We have motorcycle stunt show, a steel ball motorcycle stunt show. And I have a couple versions of this, so it modifies a little bit. It may not be 100% on here. There's a burn demo from the folks in our fire teams that are critical to the health and safety of the public. That's always fantastic. There's a state police helicopter landing, a handicap dance show, also an Apache helicopter landing for the folks that may have a interest in the military. It's going to be right here at Jackson Day. You're going to have also a hot air balloon, and something that we're doing in the evening, the Jackson Day Committee. You normally had fireworks. You're familiar with having fireworks over time. One of the items that's really cutting edge that is you're going to see more and more and more, but you're seeing it here. I don't know if it's first, but it's close to first in this area, is a drone show. You're going to have approximately 200 drones that are going to go up at the same time. It's going to be showing displays in various aspects that are going to try to touch on, first of all, this great country that we're in, the United States of America. And you're going to see this fantastic drone show, which will also have an element of intrigue, but also safety too, because we're not setting up the fire lines and the other different aspects. And sometimes dogs don't quite like those banging noises that come at the fireworks towards the end of the show. So it's something unique and special to Jackson, and I think it's going to be a signature event And I appreciate you allowing me to share some of the items, because it's all this and more. It's Jackson Day in a big way, and we hope everyone can have an opportunity to come out and enjoy celebrating your town. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wall.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the listed resolutions under consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bernstein?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Council Vice President Sargent?
Yes.
And Council President Kuhn.
Yes.
Thank you. We move on to public comments on any topic. I need a motion to open the public portion of the meeting for all comments.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, if any member of the public has any comments to make, please address the council at their microphone. State your name and address clearly for the record. You will have 5 minutes and may only speak once.
Council President, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I can suggest that the administration and the council do not speak while people are at the microphone talking about whatever agenda they need to speak about. This way, they can get their full 5 minutes without being interrupted by someone like me with all these ideas of things that I could say that would just only interrupt you. So we're not going to interrupt you. We're going to allow you to speak, and you get your full 5 minutes. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, because that was one of the things I was going to actually talk about. Donnie Edelman, 206 Willow Point. A couple of things. Let's start with the nice stuff. Happy birthday, or soon to be happy birthday. And I don't know, I was kind of paying attention at the thing. I don't know if you said your niece or your daughter that wrote that text to you, but that was a very insightful 10-year-old as far as the traffic and the parking. Couple other things. Mr. Wall, the hot air balloon, is that going to be like for people to take rides?
You know, I'm not clear on that.
We're
but
going
if
to
it is,
write
it's
down
just-
all the questions and then answer it at the
Oh, sure.
end,
Oh,
just
okay.
because to keep it
All right,
consistency
yeah,
as the
okay, cool.
council.
Couple other things. I guess just to keep you updated, I've started a campaign for the recall of Mr. Mayor, our mayor, Mr. Reyna. I'm about 95% or so of the way to the signatures needed. I was wondering, any chance I can get the council members to sign that petition to have him recalled? All right, I guess that's number one. Number two, I guess it would be, I have the question to see if anything's come with the engineer as far as the Ocean County Engineering Department in regards to the sidewalks on Commodore, Jackson Mills, and that double intersection there. I tried reaching out to Mark, and he said reach out to the township. So I guess here I am reaching out to the township. And with that, I guess that's pretty much it for today.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wall?
I would have to connect with the engineers, which I can do, and call you,
Okay,
give you an update tomorrow. I need the engineers to speak to that.
Awesome.
So it's accurate.
and not so much for me, I guess maybe for my nephew. Do you have any idea what time they're doing that Apache landing?
Bear with me 1 second.
It's not,
Oh, 5:30?
5:30? See you all on Sunday.
thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Hello, Giuseppe Palmieri. I'm a Jackson resident. I just wanted to thank the mayor, the council, especially Council President Kuhn, every Jackson small business and resident that contributed, not just financially, but with time and skills to the renovations of the Memorial Fieldhouse, as well as the concession stand. It was something that was needed for a long time. Unfortunately, with the 7 years of S2 cuts, we were not able to do that through the budget, but the town came together. And I think this just shows that when a town wants to accomplish something and come together, the boundaries are limitless. So I'm really grateful. I want to say thank you to everyone and have a great night.
Thank you, sir.
Eleanor Hannum, Jackson, New Jersey. So I would like to thank Mr. Chisholm for bringing up the issues with developing the Rova property. As a lifelong resident of this township and one who bore witness to the rich history of Rova Farms, because I lived on the lake It was across the street from me. When it comes to the amphitheater and when it comes to the development of that property, as a member of the Rover Farms Committee, we became very, very, very much a tight-knit group. That design was done specifically to ensure that we maintained the history of Rover Farms. So clearly, as I am listening to this dictatorship making decisions without regard for the people, but because it's your want, because that roadway, yes, it was traveled. That roadway, if you know the history of Rover Farms, you knew that there were hundreds and hundreds of people partying at that pavilion. I watched it. So it is not anything new. The amphitheater was designed and put there specifically to ensure and embrace the history of the Russian people, of those parties, of that music that I bore witness to every single weekend in the summertime. And it was, once we had this amphitheater idea, all of a sudden, others took that idea and decided that they wanted it on Johnson Park. For the record, Johnson Park is the original dump of Jackson Township. That was never capped off. How do I know this? I lived here when it was here. And then we put our Pop Warner kids on it until the state came in and shut that down. So this is the history of Jackson. As I have been witnessing over the past probably year and a half, there is a clear agenda in this town, a clear agenda to completely eradicate our history. Rover Farms and what is being done here is a prime example of that. And it's very sad. And if you did really, truly appreciate and want to maintain the history for the people and for our children in this town, you would make sure that the defunct Environmental Commission, who hadn't, maybe they had a meeting last month, but hadn't met in over a year and a half. That just proves how much worth our environment and our nature is to this council. The Historical Commission, who is defunct, is also not, doesn't seem to be, on anybody's concern here. But this is a great example, and I will, of completely eradicating history, and a history that you don't seem to care about. And I will, and I cannot end without noting. I don't want to say lies, but I will say inaccuracies, twisted truths, stretched narratives to ensure that the agenda is biased in one way. It is very, very clear. And how do I know this? What is said, what is done. People need to see these ordinances that are being written, approved, and then all of a sudden, oops, we made a big mistake and now we have to fix it. And I have seen that from January until today. Today was another example of that. It is clear, perhaps you're not getting appropriate counsel when it comes to all aspects of ordinances and the due diligence as to the accuracy and whether or not they are accepted by our state commissions, which I know have not been. But we will keep on giving the facade that they are. And you're very persuasive. But I see through all these lies because I do have the evidence. I do call the state. I do talk to people from these commissions.
Ma'am, your time is up. Thank
And
you so much. Ma'am, your time is up. Thank you so
You
much.
just interrupted me
It's over.
before the bell. Do you
4
not
seconds.
realize that you are violating my First Amendment right every single time you interrupt? Because I did look up the case law. Got a problem.
Have a great night, ma'am.
See. Seeing no one else come forward, make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One second.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to, motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to close?
Motion to
Second.
close. Second.
All-
Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night. I thought it was going, I thought it was the opposite way. I thought it was negative.